In this video, we'll talk about Docker security, and more specifically, one very common misunderstanding. A lot of people hear the word container and immediately think, nice, secure little box, problem solved. But that is not how it works. Containers can help in isolation, but secure by default? Not exactly. Because putting an app in a container does not magically turn bad security into a good security. It just makes the bad security more portable. So, the big misunderstanding. The idea here is simple. Containers improve isolation, but they do not make your application invincible. They separate the workloads nicely, they package dependencies cleanly, and they make deployment easier. That is great, but containers still share the host level system kernel. So this is not the same thing as having a completely separate machine. In other words, isolated does not mean untouchable. It just means that you now have boundaries. And boundaries only help if you don't leave the doors open. So, why do people assume containers are secure? Because they look organized. Everything is packed neatly. The app is in its own container and the dependencies are bundled. The environment is reproducible, and compared to the old style of throwing everything onto one server and hoping for the best, containers feel much cleaner. And to be fair, they often are cleaner. But clean and secure are not the same thing. A very neat setup can still have a terrible permissions, vulnerable softwares, and secrets sitting around like they're decorations. So, where does the real risk come from? So, security problems still exist inside containers. A container can still have a vulnerable software, it can still expose services it should not, and it can still contain badly handled secrets. It can still run with too many privileges, and it can still be built from some random image pulled from the internet 5 minutes before deployment. So yes, containers package applications, but they can also package vulnerabilities, bad decisions, and future regrets. So the box is neat, but what is inside the box still matters. Shared kernel is equal to shared risk. So one of the most important thing to understand is that containers are not full virtual machines. They share the host kernel. That means if there is a serious kernel level issue, or if a container is given too much power, the risk is not limited to just that one container. That is why privileged containers can be dangerous. And this is why compromising the host can become a very big problem for everything running on it. So yes, containers are isolated, but they are not isolated in a magical, nothing can go wrong way. They're isolated in a practical, you still need to be careful way. So what are the common mistakes? So most Docker security problems are not because containers are bad. They happen because people set them up badly. For example, running containers as root, using the latest stack blindly, pulling, pulling random public images, mounting sensitive host directories, exposing the Docker sockets, and forgetting to update images. That is basically the security version of saying, I built a safe room, but I also left the key outside and removed one wall. So, how do we make a container safe? If you actually want containers to be safe, you need to harden them. Use trusted and minimal images. Run as a non-root user whenever possible. Scan images for vulnerabilities. Limit privileges and capabilities. Store secrets properly. and keep both the host and images updated. This is the part sometimes skip that people skip this part because containers already feel modern and structured. But security is not a feeling, it's a configuration, monitoring, and discipline. So, containers can improve security, but only with good practices. Containers can absolutely improve security in the right setup. They help with isolation and consistency, but isolation is not same thing as automatic security. If your image is vulnerable, your permissions are too broad, or your host is badly configured, the container will not save you. A container is useful, a hardened container is better, and a badly configured container is just a well-packaged problem. If you want more cybersecurity and DevSec topics explained in a simple way, subscribe and comment what I should cover next. And please make sure to drop a like on this video. See you in the next one.